Coming to you from the Lydia Media Studios in the heart of Lewiston-Auburn, it's Lydia's Lunch Bunch, LA's afternoon morning show with Mark, Sarah, and Pam. We're covering news and events in the greater LA area and talking to the people making a difference in our community. Give us a listen at lydiamediallc.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And feel free to share your comments, questions, or suggestions via email at podcast@lydiamediallc.com.
Like Megan from Green. Megan, since January 1st, we've gained 2 minutes of sunlight back. Thank you so much for your question. 2 minutes, guys.
That's it?
2 minutes.
I'll take it.
Okay.
This morning I noticed how much brighter it was when I came in this morning.
It's brighter earlier.
Right.
2 minutes.
Is it really only 2 minutes? Since when?
January 1st.
Oh.
Thank you, Megan. Today's show is brought to you by United Piping, serving residential and commercial customers with new installations and repairs. Call today and schedule your oil and gas boiler cleanings at 754-4556. UPI,
The best plumbers around.
And by Ruper's Beverage and Redemption. When it comes to beer, wine, and spirits, don't botch it.
Squatch it.
At 5 locations in Lewiston, Auburn, and Oxford. Learn more at rupersbeverage.com. And remember, the party starts at Ruper's.
Our guest in studio is the president and CEO of the Lewiston-Auburn Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, Shanna Cox.
Morning.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Hello,
Good
how are
afternoon, too, depending on when you're listening.
Depending on. That's the beauty of podcasts.
I love that.
Right?
Good day.
Good day.
Good day, sir. Good day, ma'am.
Yes.
We are going to talk to Shanna all about chamber happenings coming up here in just a bit. But before we get there, let's take a look at some headlines for Tuesday, February 11th.
A new bill in the Maine legislature would make Election Day a state holiday. The general election would be treated like other holidays in the state. An amendment would close schools for the day to free up those spaces for polling.
Senator Angus King introduced legislation to prohibit direct-to-consumer advertising of pharmaceutical drugs in the first 3 years after receiving FDA approval. The FDA could waive the third year if a value to public health is established, or extend the prohibition if the drug has significant adverse health effects.
The 2025 AARP Community Challenge Grant Program is now accepting applications. The program is part of AARP's Livable Communities Initiative, which supports the efforts of communities to become great places for all ages, especially 50+. More information can be found at aarp.org.
And the YMCA of Auburn-Lewiston received over $59,000 from U.S. Cellular's After School Access Project. The funds will be used to help students connect to the internet with service and hotspots. The donation was part of $403,000 donated to 7 nonprofits throughout the state.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Here's Pam with the weather.
The weather.
Give us good news.
Yeah.
I can't wait till it's spring where I can give you good news. A mixture of sun and clouds this afternoon and into the evening with high temps in the 30s and lows in the single digits. Cloudy tomorrow with a high of 25 and a low of 11. 4 to 5 inches of snow on Thursday with highs in the low 30s.
Eventful forecast.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then Sunday, did you see the prediction for Sunday?
No, I don't want
12 to 15.
Oh,
Stop it.
double digits. That's great.
Meanwhile,
Yeah,
back
sorry.
on the ranch. In sports, Jason Tatum's 33 points led the Celtics over the Miami Heat 103-85. Boston will host the San Antonio Spurs tomorrow night.
The Maine Nordiques host the Danbury Hat Tricks on Thursday at 7.
And the NA3 Nordiques host the New Hampshire Junior Mountain Kings on Friday afternoon.
The 53rd Annual Lions Tournament is scheduled for February 14th through the 18th at Norway Savings Bank Arena in Auburn. The longest-running youth hockey tournament in America is looking for volunteers, and you can find more information at mainegladiators.com.
On our high school scoreboard in boys hockey, it was a tie between Kents Hill and St. Dom's 2-2.
That is our news, weather, and sports. And right now it is time for the podcast segment that is Sleeping the Twin Cities. It's time for famous people birthdays.
Okay. They're famous. It's their birthdays. It's famous people birthdays. It's famous people birthdays.
Let's take a look at FPBs for February the 11th, shall we? Mm-hmm. All right.
Today's a good day.
Is it?
I
All
mean,
right.
there's a few on there. I know.
It is.
I don't usually know famous.
This is a first. 115 episodes. The first time she's excited about famous people birthdays.
Did you see the one I added?
No.
No, it's all the way at the top.
All right, we'll get there. We're going to start off with Brandy, who is 46 years old today. She was Moesha back in the day. Remember that, Shanna?
Yeah, That Boy Is Mine is
I
a
was
classic.
Yes, that
Just
boy is
saying.
mine.
All right.
Also,
Monica.
she's older than me.
Oh,
Wild.
Any chance you could sing a few bars?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Nope.
Just checking.
She's like, you fooled me on that here before.
Yeah, no. And I am still paying the price for that particular episode, just so we're clear. Yeah, and I don't harmonize so well, you know what I'm saying?
Should I have not sent it to your staff to be used as a ringtone?
Yeah, no, I'm glad that you did that. It was the other, like, whole membership and community. I know, it happens at the grocery store. Yeah, it's cool. It's
Gotcha.
cool. Anyway, not today, sir, not today.
All right.
that's hilarious.
Jennifer Aniston, also known as Rachel Green, is 56 years old today.
Oh, my goodness.
You know her from the Friends sitcom that ran for 10 years, from 94 to 2004. Then she did some movies,
Couple of them.
couple of them, Marley and Me.
I think her real contribution to pop culture is the haircut, the Rachel.
Yes.
The
The
Rachel.
Rachel.
That still
Yeah.
persists in pockets of.
It sure does.
Yeah.
For sure, but favorite movie, Office Space.
Yes.
She had all those pieces of flair.
Yep.
She
All
like
the
just
flair.
didn't care about her pieces of flair.
Flair was
I don't
great.
know. They were in a bucket. I put them on. So funny. Well delivered.
Jennifer is a recipient of a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Wow.
And she's co-founder of the production company Echo Films, which was established in 2008. How about Sheryl Crow,
Aw,
who
Mark's-
is 63 years old today?
Mark's crush.
Aw,
Sheryl Crow.
That makes sense.
I
Yeah.
like
That's it?
Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
That one album.
That one album. Favorite mistakes. That's a good one. That's a good song. But then she had that all I wanna do.
That's going to be with me all day now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
She has sold over 50 million albums worldwide, has won 9 Grammy Awards, and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2023.
Oh, Cheryl.
There you go. Tina Louise. Ginger from Gilligan's Island
Yay.
is 91 years old today. She began her career on stage in the mid-1950s and then landed her breakthrough role in a 1958 drama film called God's Little Acre. And she received a Golden Globe for New Star of the Year. And then she went on some cruise, and her life changed forever.
3 hour
She went on a
tour.
3-hour tour.
Where everyone
And
was,
she never left.
where everyone packed enough belongings to last decades.
It
Yeah.
sealed her fate.
That's right.
She's the last surviving cast member. The last surviving
Oh my
castaway.
goodness. And look who is headlining
Oh.
FPBs today,
Oh my
Pam.
gosh.
Oh, it's a big birthday
It
day.
is a big birthday day.
It's Lydia's birthday.
Lydia of Lydia Media.
Yay.
She turns 9.
Lucky
Happy
Lydia.
Oh, my
birthday.
goodness.
She sounded extra barky as I was. She was announcing. I
She
just
had a
didn't
little more
understand.
Pep in
Yeah.
her step. She was like, "Hey, it's my birthday.
Yeah, big day for her.
Guys, it's my birthday.
Extra belly rubs.
Yeah.
Snacks.
Snacks and treats. Birthday cakes.
So Pam and Lydia have been together since Lydia was 8 weeks
8
old.
weeks old. The day she turned 8 weeks, I went and picked her up.
Yeah.
And on the same day, had my wisdom teeth out. But I was like, I'm picking her up. I don't care. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had good snuggle bonding time while you were
Oh,
just
yeah.
playing around, chipmunk cheeked.
So
Drooling. Yeah. That's a good way to start a relationship. I love that for you guys.
And for those who may not be in the know, Lydia is Pam's yellow lab. She owns the company. She runs the company.
Yeah.
And ironically, Pam was her first hire.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which
that was
was-
really good of her.
Yeah.
You
it's
should
great.
be extra
and then
thankful today.
Things just blossomed
It
from
was
there.
a pity hire.
She holds,
I got to keep her around so she feeds
she
me.
holds the food strings. That's
Yeah.
right.
Smart dog.
Well,
Yep.
extra treats for Lydia today.
Yay!
9 years old. And those are our FPBs for February the 11th.
Yeah. Whether you want a sit-down meal or a grab-and-go, Pat's Pizza in Auburn offers delicious sandwiches, pasta, salads, and pizza at family-friendly prices. Pat's Pizza, serving the L.A. area since 1985. Open daily from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at 85 Center Street in Auburn. Online at patsauburn.com.
Now we shift focus fully to our guest in studio, President and CEO of the Lewiston-Auburn Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce, Shanna Cox, who is in for her second Tuesday of the month visit, right?
Sure is.
Sure is. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
Making time for us.
I love that I can just pop in at 7 a.m. on the second Tuesday with no
Yeah.
preamble, and you guys are like, good to see you again.
What's up?
Yeah,
You're
it's
here.
great.
Hooray!
Thanks. It's a real treat.
So I got my chamber email yesterday morning, which I look forward to every Monday morning.
Thanks.
And I saw that annual awards nominations are live now.
Tis the season.
Tis the season.
Yeah, we're excited. It is the annual award season. We do recognize a whole bunch of different categories. So we have a small business, we have women in business, we have economic development. And for each of those, we're looking for some certain characteristics. We updated our form this year, so it's interactive and really easy to use and kind of gives you a sense of that. But then we also have the Heart of the Community Award. And so, for the first awards that I named, they are specific to businesses that are chamber members. But the Heart of the Community Award we added a couple of years ago, and anyone can nominate anyone for that award. And I really love that that's become part of our award ceremony and what we recognize, because I think so many times when you are, talking around the kitchen table or at the water cooler, and you're like, you know who's so amazing, and I just love the work that they do, and it is not uncommon that is a faith leader or somebody at the congregation or the person who put up the free library on the street corner in your neighborhood who then started to add food pantry items to it, right? Like, it's just individual acts. And so, we also exclude from that, like, organizations or businesses. It really is for an individual who's just doing great things by themselves and having individual impact. And I think it's just, in terms of, like, what I think of as leadership, I think leadership often starts in small acts by people who might not think of themselves as doing too much, and that's sometimes where some of the best things can come from. And so I love that there's a spot to recognize that in our annual awards. The form's on our website in the front page, lametrochamber.com, but yeah, you got a couple of weeks to get your nominations in. If you are a chamber member, but take it to your staff meeting and talk about who you might recognize, whether it's within your own company or within the community and partners or vendors that you work with. I think it's a really great way to let somebody know that you've seen them. All of our nominees get recognized. So they'll be kind of noted on social media, they get outreach. So, it's a very good act for you simply to nominate someone. And I think that's a really nice way to say, I see the work that you're doing, I see how you're leading, and I love that about you, and I think that's a message that lots of people can hear and appreciate. And so it's annual awards season. I do look forward to planning an event where it's much warmer.
Yeah.
I think it sets the time horizon out just a little bit to, like, there are things post winter to look forward to.
There's something on the horizon.
Yeah. We'll make it through deep winter just like we do every year.
When and where is the event?
We are at Poland Spring. I should know the date, but it's in May, so we moved it up just a couple weeks this year. And I think that you're going to see a combo inside-outside. Because last year, we loved the tent. Yeah, we love the tent. We do not love heat stroke. And the year before that, it was air quality from fires in Canada. And the year before that, it was a thunderstorm. Yeah. So last year, we had to move it inside.
We were really grateful to be inside last year because there was a deluge.
Yeah.
There is no better word.
Yeah, well, it started with 110-degree heat outside and ended with buckets coming from the sky. And so, we're hedging our bets. And we're making sure that, so the cocktail hour might be outside. We're still really looking forward to making the most out of the grounds and the space because it's a beautiful venue. Mm-hmm. But 3 years of teaching us in a row, like we're listening. But
we're gonna learn from this.
Yeah. Still at Poland Spring. Oxford's still our presenting sponsor. We just love the partnership they have with the town of Poland and with Cindy at Poland Spring. And we're so grateful for their continued support. So
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Should be a good time.
Nominate now.
Yeah, get your nominations in.
By March 7th.
By March 7th. It's also scholarship season.
Oh.
Yeah. So in terms of if you're there submitting things, we give scholarships away, and I don't know that a lot of people realize that. And for your listeners, it's really important to note we do 3 different scholarships. We use a common application to make the process really easy for somebody who's applying, and so. We work with guidance counselors at the 7 high schools within Androscoggin County to give away high school scholarships. There's 7 $500 awards that we give. And then we have our adult scholarships. And so this year, thanks to a generous donation by Seaport Credit Union, we're going to be able to increase the number of adult scholarships that we give. So we give between 3 and 6 every year. And I think this year we might even increase that number. $1,000 scholarships for continued education. So it could be a college class, could be a university class, could be a technical certification, right? We're pretty flexible on the way you're continuing your education. Yeah. And the Chamber Scholarship is specific for any employee of Chamber members. But then we also have the College for Me Androscoggin Scholarship. And so for any listener who's listening, take this as your sign today. But if you've been considering taking your first class in more than a year to get back to school, whether it's you haven't taken a class since high school or you're thinking about taking your first class since you worked on your bachelor's degree or since you walked away from college a year and a half in, been there, did that, made it back, which is really important. So I know how hard it is to make that step back in, particularly when the reality of the cost of eggs in life is hitting you. So we give away scholarships to adult learners who are taking their first class in more than a year. And so anyone can apply for that, and that is also on lametrochamber.com.
The business-to-business trade show coming up next month. Yeah. How psyched are you about that?
Really excited. It's like a rebuilding year, and so I feel, to the extent that I can feel like a sports team rebuilding. That's such a familiar space for me. But it's a rebuilding year. So last year was a transition year where there was no B2B trade show. And then it had been with Travis Dow and Dow Media for years before. He very thoughtfully worked with us to transition it to under our purview. And thank goodness still acts as a consultant for us as we ask any questions. But yeah, it's the first year back. And I'm excited to name that Maine Community Bank is our presenting sponsor. And so we've been advertising it. There's commercials happening across the state, digital advertising across the state. We're working with my peers in chambers across New England and across Maine. We really are excited to make sure that we're not just showcasing LA businesses to LA businesses, but that we're inviting businesses who want to do business here in our market and in Maine, and that we're connecting folks there. And so we're excited. We shook up the format a little bit, just a little bit. We listened. It's interesting. So a lot has changed in the trade show scene and industry since the pandemic. There was like a couple years where trade shows didn't happen and everything was kind of on a pause. And so we've been really thoughtful about kind of the elements of the trade show that we're bringing back. So it's 11 to 4:30, and then a cocktail hour till 5:30, which we really heard a lot of people say when you have a really long day, you can kind of sit there and, feeling like you're necessarily connecting with people. We have some kind of constructed networking sessions to help encourage people to connect, but they're short shots so that people are still out on the floor talking to each other. We're really excited about some of those changes. Likewise, the registration is free to attend. There's booth costs, but if you just want to go and do business, check out these businesses, it's free if you register in advance. It will be $5 at the door, and that's intentional. We want everybody to come, but we want people to want to choose to be there and to be there to do business, to make good conversation, good relationships with people. We don't want people just walking in and stealing your chocolate, which is a thing that happens, and the vendors are kind of wary of, right? And so, yeah. So I'm really excited about this year, and I hope that it's well received and well attended. So there's still time to get your booth. Booth prices are really reasonable. It includes lunch and all the other things. And Burnt Ends Barbecue is on site that day doing our lunches and bringing the bar at 4:30. And we're really excited about it.
I do a lot of trade shows for work, my actual other job.
Yeah.
Where we spend the entire day just looking at other businesses, and at the end of the day, there's always one or two of our vendors that have a cooler underneath their table full of beer.
Yeah.
And we all know which ones they are.
Especially by the end of the day.
By the end of the day, we'll be like, we'll be back at 5.
Yeah.
But it's such a cool idea to intentionally have that arrangement.
Thanks.
To say, hey, we know you talked business all day long, and maybe you haven't seen this person in a really long time, and you want to catch up, like truly catch up with them on another level.
Yeah.
And to be able to just like chill and not necessarily have a beer or whatever, but just have a drink and quiet down and be calm with people is such a nice gift to give.
I think for people like, I don't know, maybe the average listener who's, doesn't do business to business work all the time and maybe just frequents businesses, I think there might be some assumptions around like when a business is talking to another business, the criteria to like do business with someone else is just simply like turnaround time and the cost. And like businesses absolutely take that into consideration. But do I know you? Can I trust you? Do you remember who I am as a human? Because particularly in small businesses, which is, the majority of our market in Maine as well as in this area, you're like sponsoring the Little League team because your kid's on it or your nephew's on it. And like we have real human connections, and you have to respect that and build that in because it is 100% not only just a factor, but I would offer it often outrides things like priced or turnaround time or right, like your customer service, your relationship, your ability to understand my needs as a business owner and my business needs are fundamental to my working relationship with you. And we really wanted to kind of create that space. I think that's important.
Yeah. On February 19th, there's a Mastering the New Member Center for LA Metro Chamber members.
Yeah.
Shanna, tell us about that new software.
Thanks. For anybody who's ever upgraded or integrated a new software, we've spent the last 5 months preparing for this moment. We're pretty excited. The integration actually went really well. We did it over the holidays when folks were kind of needing less from their chamber and their software so that we could work out any kinks. And there's still a couple bumps to work out, but we're doing a really great job, I think, so far. And the new software makes it a lot easier for a member to connect with other members, to access their member benefits, to see how their membership is getting used. And, that's not just how a member comes to a networking event or some of the traditional things people think about, but it's your ability to see how your web page is being used, how many referrals are coming through. There's good analytics built in. And so we want to make sure people know how to use it and make the most of it. And we're really excited because there's some new features that we'll be rolling out in the next couple of months that will make how businesses use that software really transform how we're promoting the region, how we're promoting job opportunities in the region. Yeah, so it's a good, fun, short how-to session of kind of mastering your portal, making the most of it, and getting in there.
You mentioned the cost of eggs earlier, and it was followed by some laughter.
Oh
and I think for those of us who really enjoy eggs, that could have been nervous laughter.
Yeah. I go through like 4 dozen a week.
Yeah.
I am painfully aware of the cost of eggs.
Yeah.
But
A lot of eggs.
Yeah.
Yep.
That seems to be just the tip of the iceberg as far as our business climate is concerned right now. How do you see businesses that are trying to navigate this unpredictable environment? Because I know a lot of them turn to the chamber.
No, they do. I mean, I get those calls so often and talk to folks. I mean, at the state level, at the kind of like local level, we had 2,056 bills introduced 3 Fridays ago, which is a ridiculously large number. Most of them come through without language. So you get a name of a bill, and sometimes that name is very descriptive. Sometimes that name leaves you wondering whether you would support it or be against it, because there's nothing there yet. And so, we're getting familiar with all of those different bills, checking out what our local legislators have sponsored and figuring out kind of where they are. An interesting one that like doesn't have the language yet, so I can't tell you what it says, and therein lies the frustration for both our business owners, but me too, is an act to incentivize a 4-day work week, for example. Like, is the taxpayer paying? Is the incentive monetary?
There's nothing there yet, huh?
Is there penalties for? I don't know. Like, I don't. 4-day work week sounds cool to lots of folks. I mean, I'm not against it, but you don't know what the language says, and so I think that's challenging. So we're watching that. There was this interesting play that happened. So right now, if you had watched the state of the budget being introduced and the governor's introduction to that introduces the next biennial budget, right? That would start July 31st. It would cover the next 2 years. So we're like still in a budget period of of the last 18 months and the final 6 months. So the supplemental budget is also getting worked on. And there was some interesting, like, for policy wonks, I won't go into it, don't worry. Like, call me if you want to have a fun chat. It's fine, I won't bore you. But there was some interesting procedural things that happened at the last minute that puts the supplemental budget kind of back on the table in a way most of us were like, well, that's done. We can focus on the next one. No, folks, the game is not over. It's like when somebody fumbles on the last line with a minute left, and all of a sudden they're running to the other end of the field, and you're like, what just happened? That's what's happening at the state legislature. So it's an interesting moment with the supplemental budget. They need a 2/3 vote, and like, maybe not. So there's all kinds of interesting things happening locally. I will say there are some bills. The thing that I hear most, and this relates, I think, again to what you're seeing at the federal level. But what I hear most from our businesses are, we like the intent of some of these bills. Some of them we don't like the intent of. We really struggle with keeping up with the regulations. And from a very logistical, real place for a business owner. So a really good example is a tax that is being levied, and to the consumer, they might not see much of a difference because the 5.5% tax was getting paid previously. But so a good example, golf carts, because there is a lease that a golf course, so for our golfers, a golf course leases a good chunk of, if not all of the golf carts that are on the golf course during the summer. And when they are leasing it, they pay the rental company that they're receiving the golf carts from, they pay them, tax on that transaction. Now that golf course is going to have to levy a tax for you, the golfer, on the use of the golf cart because you're leasing it for, 4-6 hours or whatever. So not only is that a new tax that the consumer has to pay, and one could say well, but the business isn't paying it. The business has to change their point of service software. They have to change their contract with the lease company. They have to educate you on why you're now paying a fee that you weren't paying previously, and deal with you being angry about it. And then they also have to keep those taxes and then pay those taxes and remit them to the state. And so pick your favorite local golf club. The staff, not the bar staff, not the pro shop, but the people who are, dealing with the numbers for the business. It's a couple of people, and it's a small business, and now they're, becoming tax pros. It's when businesses talk about what it means to, comply with regulation, it's that. How do I change the paperwork? How do I change the systems? How do I change my accounting software? How do I educate the customer? How do I help my frontline staff deal with the frustration that they have? And there's a number of places where that's both being proposed or is underway in implementation. And so that's there's a lot that's happened with labor that's just really frustrating for business owners. And so there's kind of mucking through 2,056 bills and trying to figure out which ones are going to do more of that we're trying to lessen the burden on business owners. So that's a fun endeavor. But then we have some of these changes coming at the federal level. A lot is happening through executive orders. And so a really concrete example is we talk about tariffs. You might have seen that there's steel and aluminum tariffs that are being kind of levied across the board. It's not specifically targeted at a country. And, in favor of fundamentally United States-based businesses who make steel, produce steel, and to make sure that there's a more level playing field. That's the argument. Super. The reality is steel and aluminum are pretty important for our construction industry, and that is pretty important for those who are building new housing, for the economic development that you've heard me talk about on this podcast before. The growth that we're seeing in the pipeline, all of a sudden you're seeing a 25% increase on a very core material to that process. And so whether you're the owner of a construction company, whether you're an investor, whether you're in property management and property development, you've had since last night to start to make sense of how that's going to change the financials on projects that are well in the pipeline that you probably have quotes on and that you're trying to figure out what that looks like. And so businesses love a predictable environment. Ideally, they would like a predictable environment without onerous regulations, right? That's the piece. And so, businesses right now are really dealing with some very real kind of implications of those pieces and trying to make sense of that. We, there's a 30-day pause. We're partway through that 30 days on the tariffs between us and Canada and Mexico. Well, here in Maine, we're right on the Canada border, like by the larger zoom out perspective of. I know we're not Fort Kent here in Lewiston and Auburn, but we're within 100 miles of the Canadian border, which is it's a pretty instrumental piece. And so it's not just what it's going to do to our cost to buy things from Canada. It's what's going to happen, whether it's through the actual free market and the price changes that come from that for the sale of our timber, for example, or the purchase of heating oil or gas. Those are very real inputs to the financial balance sheet and P&L that a business is trying to work on. And so it just feels not predictable, right? And I think that's challenging for businesses. So it's a full-time job keeping up to speed on that stuff right now, let alone throwing in some scholarship and awards programs, right? Like it is a busy time, and I think it's just I think it's overwhelming. Like there's I do an hour of news reading every night, and I'm a pretty quick reader, so that's 10 articles, maybe more, that I'm getting through from very different sources, very intentionally, industry publications, economic publications, finance publications. And it's a lot to keep up with. And, I think businesses just want to know that somebody's paying attention, and we'll let them know when it's really important, which we are and we will. we will. This is part of that. Yeah. Pay attention. But it's an interesting time, and I think there's a lot to navigate. And it always feels that way at the start of a new legislature. But it's fun this year. It's a whole different. it's a whole different. The tracking document's getting pretty wily.
Now, when you say fun,
yeah, it's not fun like your Thursday mornings, right? Like it's a different kind of fun. Yeah.
We need those Thursday mornings to get through this one.
Yeah. It's a great time to be alive. There is a lot. There's a lot that's happening, and some of the things are. So we took a vote yesterday, our business advocacy, we're going to support officially the bill that names Sepola, the snow dog, our state dog, which is really impactful for a number of communities and businesses and organizations in this area. And there's not a competing bill for a different dog, so there's really no loser either. And who doesn't love a good sled dog, right? Yeah. So, and there's Togo has some history here in Maine, and it goes back to. Check it out. It's really great. It's just like there's some fun bills that are nonpartisan, have support, and but that's not the majority of the 2,000 bills. It's nice to find one though.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's a little refreshing.
I love that. Yeah, I was like, guys, can we get behind this sled dog? This is fantastic.
Let's focus all of our
next
energy.
up, labor and taxation. So it's nice to be to see some little silver linings out there.
Yeah,
but it's a busy season.
Yeah. Great stuff, Shanna, as always. Anything else about the chamber happenings that you would like to share?
I mean, lots going on.
Yeah.
There's lots going on. I will give a teaser for more to come on this, but we've been working on some marketing assets and marketing campaigns for the region, specifically for talent attraction and population growth purposes. And so, some of that is in the public space, but there's a whole bunch happening behind the scenes that's going to add assets, I think, really support promoting this region and give tools to both employers and real estate agents and municipalities who are trying to attract people to this region. And so you're going to see some pretty cool things on that front in the coming months. So sometimes some of our best work isn't public yet, and we're still doing it. We're back there still doing it. So, keep your eyes out.
And if you're listening to this podcast, you're obviously a fan of not only the three of us, but happenings in the greater Lewiston-Auburn area as well, and the people making a difference and making waves. You have a podcast of your own.
I do.
Build, Lead, Thrive for the chamber.
Yeah. We do 2 a month. I can't keep your schedule. You guys are busy.
That's crazy. I tell you what, once you get up in the hundreds, you forget to hit record sometimes.
Well, at my pace, I think I've got another year or 2 before I even come close to it. So, I love that space. Thank you for asking. Our podcast is a lot of fun. I have this really great producer. You guys might have heard of this guy named Mark Turcotte.
Yeah.
I
know that guy.
He's super fun.
I've worked with him before.
It's nice because I think my goal when I was thinking about I really want to be in that format, and I want to use it, for good, and for it to be a little bit fun. And I think they are really fun podcasts each episode, but it's really great to dig into some of the greater themes that we kind of share universally in this region, whether it's business or community or challenges or great things that are happening. And to do that through storytelling, like here's a human, somebody that you might only see through this specific lens or this specific kind of like public persona, and the way they're real people and the way they show up and they lead themselves, they contribute to a thriving community, and they're business leaders, community leaders, nonprofit leaders. There's no story that's not worth telling, right? And so, yeah, I love being able to dig into that and then kind of tie these grander themes that we're all a part of into it. And so, yeah, I had somebody say when they were listening to it, and I think this is a compliment. I think this is a compliment, but they said, I felt like I was sitting at the table next to you at a coffee shop, and that I got to listen in on this really cool conversation, and it felt so.
Yeah.
And I was
that is
like,
a compliment.
Right? Doesn't that feel?
That's exactly what you want.
Yeah, and it's funny because
accessible,
right? And honestly, once you guys walk away from today's podcast, do you go listen to all of them other than the editor? Thanks, Mark. Do you go listen to all the minutes again? Like I lived this hour once already, and so do I. And so I was on a commute, and I was like, I'm going to listen to our most recent podcast, which I don't always get to do in its entirety. Lots of trust on you there, Mark.
Thanks.
Slipping in something weird in minute 46. I don't know how to keep my eyes out. But I did. I got roped right in and listened to this conversation I'd had been part of. That was me and I just got sucked into. That was Jess Donovan's episode.
Yep.
I was driving from one place to another and just got sucked in. And I was like, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I laugh at ours.
Yeah.
I listen to it and I start laughing. I'm like, I was there.
Yeah. See? But that's when you know you're doing it well, right? It's like, yeah. So thanks for lifting that up. You can check that out wherever you listen to podcasts.
That's right. Absolutely. It's called Build, Lead, Thrive, Voices of Androscoggin. Locally owned and locally focused, Lydia Media celebrates the heart of the greater Lewiston-Auburn area through 2 magazines, Uncle Andy's Digest and LA Metro Magazine, and the new Lydia's Lunch Bunch podcast. Each production shines a positive light on local businesses, nonprofits, events, and individuals making a difference in our community. Keep your advertising dollars local and position your business in front of your target audience with Lydia Media. Learn more at lydiamediallc.com. All right, Shanna, it's time. Time for 3 random questions.
All right.
We our listeners have got to view Shanna through the LA Metro Chamber lens, and now it's time for the 3 random questions lens.
Yes, this is what I'm just a human, right? Don't say anything to get myself fired, but I'm just a human.
You
Gotcha.
take your chamber hat off.
I'm putting it down.
Easy one here. What's your biggest pet peeve while driving?
Oh,
Just one?
The biggest one.
Execute your turn. Like I had a driver's education teacher who, when you were slow, and at this point, guys, I have gotten 4 kids through driver's education and their licenses. So I've been on the other end of this too, where they're slow turn. I don't care if you're crossing 2 lanes of traffic to turn left, you're turning right into execute the turn. And so I will scream that. I mean, I don't roll down the window and scream it at other people, but I scream it in my car. So there's 100%. If you're going to do the thing, put your blinker on and execute the turn.
Yeah.
If you weren't sure, then keep driving while you decide. Pull a Yui down there. I don't care. That's my biggest pet peeve by far.
All right.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh, my butt's on fire right now.
Just thinking about it.
You just took me to a place.
She's fired up.
Just execute. That is how it sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that insight into my car.
Of course. I've been curious.
I have to say, I can't remember who it was, but there was one time I was with someone. They were driving. I was passenger, and someone was not executing their turn. And they said, are you taking an application? Taking out an application for that turn? Or what's happening here? And I was like,
That.
it's hilarious. It was just funny when they said that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's that.
Yeah.
It gets my goat. It does. It does.
Couldn't tell.
Yeah. I hope your third question brings my blood pressure back down. You got one question to come up with another good one. The middle one doesn't matter, but I need my blood pressure to go back where it's supposed to be before I leave.
All right.
Blood pressure reducing question?
I had my question.
Is that a thing? I don't know who got stuck with that, but bring it
No.
down.
Do you want me to go?
I'm fine. I'll deep breathe.
right.
I'll deep breathe.
Go ahead.
All right. If you could con your way into any profession, making people believe that you were an expert and just jump right in and do it, what profession would you choose?
Just based on the desire to be in that profession, or like,
and your ability to con them into it.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one. I've always said if things didn't work out in this, I would definitely consider being a butcher.
Oh,
Yeah, and I feel like I've just enough knowledge to do that in a dangerously con way. I know, I'm really sorry. Not lost on me that you don't eat meat, and I apologize.
I do occasionally, but it's just.
So I know it's
That
kind of
would've been
weird.
down on the list.
It's yeah, I know. I mean, if I was like going to give up my public life, strap on an apron. That's where like no in between. If I'm going to go from one to the other,
I like it.
Yeah, I've worked in some really high quality restaurants in my years, and a couple of them, bring in the animal and really make the most of planning how every piece is used, the different cooking methods that'll work on it, the best way to break that animal down so that you can appreciate it. And I think if you're going to eat animals and you're going to eat meat, you should do it in a way that honors the life they gave, and you should make the most out of what's there. Like, I've got I've got some indigenous folk in my family. Like, it's just a fundamental belief, and so I know just enough about cows, pigs, and birds to be able to do that in a way that I think would be mostly believable.
Be like, I'm a butcher.
Yeah, no, 100. I would be
I'm a
like,
butcher.
I've been doing this for years. I got my
Yeah.
cleaver.
And if someone
Yeah.
that's not a butcher is watching you, they don't know.
And that's why it feels low risk. It's like, how many experts are on the other side of the counter? You know what I mean? And most of that I can do without witnesses. I mean, an audience. So like, I could get it to the case. Like, I could trim my mistakes away before you ever saw it, and just always have a good stew cooking.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, so butcher. Thanks for asking.
Good
All right.
answer. Good answer.
Yeah. If this gig doesn't work out, you can find me at your local market. My partner Chad and I went to a local restaurant the other day, and it's got super authentic Mexican food, and clearly one of the specialties, because so in the menu there's a picture and it is a whole fish, fin, eye, the whole bit. And Chad's like, do you think that's a whole fish? And I was like, I definitely, babe, it looks like a whole fish in the photo. And he's like, I just don't think I can, like, I like to pretend it's not. I don't want how did he say it?
Alive.
He's like, I don't like to confront the truth of what I'm eating. And I was like, I can get down that. I don't think I could eat a hamburger if I had to like wrestle off the fur to throw it in the bun, right? Like, I couldn't do it
in the presence of a cow.
Yeah, but I will say for anyone, that dish was I saw 4 whole fishes come out in a half full restaurant at what we call meme time. We had a 4:00 dinner. Bed early, you feel like you still went out for the night. It's great in the winter. But it was a very popular dish, and we just kept seeing like whole fishes come out of the kitchen. I was like,
Okay.
that must be well loved. But
All right.
All right. We talked about, you said you go through about 4 dozen eggs in a week.
yeah,
That's a lot.
Yeah.
How do you like your eggs cooked?
Oh, so it depends on what it's going with, right?
Yeah.
Like
I'm the same.
my standard is over easy, well seasoned eggs. I love if I've got a good like corned beef hash. You could poach them. I'm down with a poached egg. And then every once in a while, this used to be my favorite, and I, for a whole bunch of reasons, but scrambled with some melted cheddar on top. Like, if we're gonna season up those eggs all the way, then give me some cheddar on that. Send it out with some toast, and I always get a grilled English muffin.
Yeah, grilled English is the
Give
way
me
to
the
go,
grilled
yeah.
English, and then some of the strawberry jam on it, and like you've had breakfast and dessert at the same. It's an awesome way to start your day.
Little sweet and salty.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
love.
If I'm doing scrambled, I love pico de gallo. So good. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Hungry.
I don't eat all
I'm
4
ready for
dozen eggs.
breakfast.
I have four large young men at my house, plus my partner, and so like there's lots of help with the eggs. But man, I watch the egg prices go. We get an 18 pack each time,
$12.
and it was like $6, $8, $9.99, and just in the last 2 grocery trips, it went from $9.99 to $11.49 to $12.99 this past Sunday, and I was like,
I bought them too.
Ooh.
I bought my 18 eggs, and I was like, I'm going to savor every one of these. Then I
Yeah.
ate 6 the next day.
right. See?
That's not savoring them.
She went full Rocky.
That's the thing.
That's normal.
That's
for me.
that's how it is in my house
Can't
too.
eat
And
6 eggs in a
That's
sitting. I don't know if it's a texture
that's
thing
36
or-
grams of protein right there.
see, what I really need is to find if you are raising your own chickens and are still down with your $4 dozen eggs or $5 dozen eggs, call me.
My brother has got chickens, and I'm planning a trip up there.
Yeah, the conversation is like, could we do a coop in the backyard? I'm like, oh man, I don't want to.
I've got a little thing
No.
I'll send you that he posted online.
Yeah, please do.
It's in case you were thinking about doing this,
Yeah.
here's the reality of raising
Yes,
chickens.
that's
I'll pay $12.
well, so that's the thing is like we have a grandmother who their grandmother on their dad's side has a chicken coop out back, did chickens for a couple of summers, hasn't done it for 2, and there's a movement building in the house around like, if we pay grandma to incentivize her to bring back the chickens, can we? And I was like, I'm down with community supported agriculture. Let's get a CSA of eggs from grandma. What does she need? That's great. Can she guarantee a price lock? I'm in. Let's do it, boys. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Shanna, always a pleasure.
Thanks. I love being here.
Thanks so much for your time today. If you would like more information about pretty much anything Shanna talked about, other than her 3 random questions answers, you can go to lametrochamber.com. We want to thank our sponsors for today, Ruper's Beverage and Redemption and United Piping. And if you'd like to be part of the Lydia's Lunch Bunch advertising family, reach out to Pam via email at pam@lydiamediallc.com. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you tomorrow when we have some Maine Nordiques in studio. They have a special Thursday game this week, so maybe we'll see if Sarah can get Coach Skirl.
I'm messaging Skirls right now.
All right, we'll see. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you tomorrow.